All right, so we have Porsha Williams here. So many different changes you've made, but right now you are announcing a memoir, The Pursuit of Porsha, and your own spinoff show, Porsha's Family Matters.
Yes, so much going on.
So much going on, but I'm so excited. I've been a fan of yours since season 5, and just seeing your elevation as a woman, as a mom. I'm not a mom yet, but just seeing your growth in that area, it's inspiring, and you just keep it real all the way, despite the haters and the critics.
Mm-hmm.
You remain true to yourself. So let's start with the book. I want to know, how long did it take you to write your memoir? You know, how long have you been working on it?
I've been working on it about 1.5 years. Wow. A little over a year. You know, it was not easy. Mm-hmm. If you've read the book, there are different parts of the book that were a little difficult for me to revisit, but you know, in true Porsha form, I had to revisit it to be transparent and to really be understood and effective in my purpose of helping someone else in the book. So that's kind of what prolonged it. It was about 3 or 4 months that I took off during writing the book because it just got a little intense for me. But yeah, I would say it took about that long.
I can imagine, you know, with the things that you're opening up about in this book, at what point, you know, because when people think of a memoir, they do think that you have to be at a certain time in your life or a certain age, and you're still very young. And at what point did you decide that, you know, life was telling you you were ready for a memoir?
You know, and that is so true of most celebrities' memoirs. They are a little later in life, but that's why my book is called The Pursuit of Porsha. Being in pursuit, you're continuing to get to that place, that happy place. Although I feel now I'm at my most honest self, my most truest self at this moment. Me turning 40 and having a daughter, it just all came and aligned at the same time. You know, when you get closer to 40, you start thinking about your life, you start thinking about God's blessings and where you are now and how far you have come. And I just felt it would be an injustice for me to put a pin in it with only Housewives being the only representation. I wanted to go on a deeper level and truly be effective with some of my supporters and help them through hard times through me telling my testimony.
Right. And you know, you've mentioned, and it's clear that the things you're revealing, it was hard to revisit. So what were some ways that you got guided through that process? Like, were you still seeing a therapist, or were you leaning on your family as you were writing this book?
I definitely was leaning on my family. I definitely was. But it also, even though I was leaning on my family, it was a very personal process. Because a lot of the things in the book, I had never spoken aloud. A lot of things in the book I had never told my sister or my mother, and those are the 2 people closest to me. So it took me time to walk away from the book and then think about the purpose of the book. What am I doing it for? I had to revisit the very beginning of what got me to the place of wanting to write the book and why I had chosen to revisit some of those darker moments that are harder to talk about. And it's because I had to go through them. And hopefully if I can speak to them, use my voice, someone else won't have to. So it was truly the purpose of the book is which drove me to continue and push through some of those harder moments. Even when I did the audio for the book, it still was difficult for me to read some parts of the book aloud in the studio. Because I mean, I think when celebrities do books, you think it's kind of ABC 1, 2, 3. Oh, you wrote the book, now you're doing the audio. This process was very emotional for me. And some of those points I could not revisit aloud just yet. So I had my sister Lauren go in the studio for me and read a couple chapters for me that I was not able to do in the studio.
You know, but it's still so powerful that, you know, you found it in yourself to come forward with, you know, everything that you're revealing. And then you're doing it in a way where you're bringing it, the tie-in is through entrepreneurship. And I wanted to know, how important is that for you? Like as a woman, as a mother, as a Black woman, how important is it for us to, make peace from the pieces and continue to elevate despite whatever transgressions we've gone through?
I love that. Make peace from the pieces is a beautiful way to put that. Because as I looked at my journey in its entirety and thought about each point, each pattern I was developing as I grew up, they didn't just relate to how I dealt with men, although a lot of the book does talk about my relationship with men. They didn't just relate to me being a mother. They didn't just relate to me being a daughter or a sister. What you learn through life is related to everything, even in business. So early on, when I started my journey with God and my spirituality and my faith, that walk had to be just as strong when it came to business. And I got that from my mother. My mother is a strong praying woman. She, most people, if they know her in the business world, they're like, that Diane can get it done when there ain't no way. Okay. And I have seen her believe in what God wants for her. I have seen her literally walk in a building and say, you know what? I know this building is $10,000 a month. I know that I don't have no money in my bank account, but I have all these other qualities as a businesswoman. I have this business plan, which is the work she put with her faith and along with what she believed God had for her. And I saw her get it done. I saw her convince them of it just because of her walk. And in business, when you are doing business as a Black person, period, you need to be carrying God with you, no matter what. Whether you're in entertainment and you speaking for yourself, as I often do, people need to see that confidence that I know who I am and that I am meant to be at this table. Whether you are in business for yourself and you have a product, you need to have full confidence and walk in honesty and integrity. And so everything I learned through my life in a lot of different instances played a big part in me being in the type of businesswoman that I was and the type of work ethic that I have now.
Okay, with the messages, just yes, the good word.
The book were preaching to me too as I was writing it. I was like, okay, yes, how dare you forget that moment, that God saw you through. And we often do forget those moments. Right. So the book really did also minister to me as well as I wrote it.
Yeah. And, you mentioned your mom and, you have multiple businesses. You have the hair care business, you have your luxury sheet line. Do you have hopes of your daughter carrying on those businesses in the future when she gets older? Or is that something that you'll let her decide? What's your plans for the future of your businesses?
Of course, I would love for my daughter to, carry on any business that I have. But what I really want for my daughter is for her to be her own woman. Whatever it is she wants to do, I am going to be fully supportive of, as long as it does not interfere with her purpose in life and her spirit and her happiness. Whatever she decides to do, which I know she's going to be a boss, honey, because at 2, I can already see it. 2, I can already see it. Me in the book, I talk a lot about, as it pertains to my relationship with mom, I worked with her in childcare from a very early age. She owned childcare centers all over Atlanta, and I worked with her, and that's a wonderful thing. But the biggest thing I got from working with my mom is just how supportive she was and how confident she made me when I walked in certain rooms and when I was doing certain deals. So I want her to get that aspect of who I am in any business she does.
Beautiful. Baby PJ is in good company.
She is. She is going to be a force to reckon with.
It's sure. So crazy too how she literally looks just like you. When you post,
isn't that crazy?
Sometimes I'm thinking, I'm like, why does that picture of baby PJ look so old? But then I'm like, oh, that's me. Look, took your whole face, literally.
Yeah, copy and paste.
So, in the book, like you said, you're kind of reliving a lot of even past instances of abuse. And even just watching you from early seasons on Housewives of Atlanta, especially your first season, there was, you were a lot more timid in ways. And then we see your evolution as a woman. What advice would you give your younger self, looking back on those experiences and who you were at that time, Porsha at that time, and Porsha now? What advice would you give to Porsha then?
that everything that I am now was in me then. I just didn't value it. I just didn't listen to her. I didn't think she had a voice. I thought that anything anybody else said meant so much more than what I felt in my heart or knew to be true. And I put everybody before me, especially men. And, you know, as a young woman in your 20s, those are your development ages, you know, that's the time when you are trying to figure out, navigate men and navigate what you're going to be in your life. And I learned very on that I had a pattern. Well, I learned now that my pattern then was to only see myself through other people's eyes. And therefore, I never looked inside to see what I had, what talents I had already to accomplish what I wanted. And so it took me a lot longer to get to the place of understanding I'm worthy of everything that I want. And if you don't ever realize that you are worthy of what you want, you'll never put yourself in the position to get it. You might even position somebody else to get it. You may even be at somebody else's job, helping somebody else become a billionaire because you don't even think you're worthy of being a billionaire. So how is that going to work out? No, I can be a billionaire if I want to be. I can be a boss. I can be this amazing mom. I can be this amazing wife. And I don't need an amazing husband to have me be an amazing mom. I don't need to have, you know, another person lead me. I can lead myself. So I just would definitely want her to understand that she was created with every single gift, every single talent from God early on. And hopefully somebody can recognize that in themselves and make good decisions for themselves, make authoritative decisions for themselves early on. Because, and I was talking to somebody the other day in another interview, and I said, you know, that word humble really did play, really played a mind thing on me, because I never wanted to not be humble because I've always been a Christian. And so Christians, right, you're supposed to be humble, you know, et cetera. But that really kind of beat me down. No, you can be confident. You can be confident. I'm humble-hearted.
Right.
But I am confident in what I project. And that is most important.
Yes, because I claim my peace. I'm not ever allowing anybody to make me feel, oh, you bougie. No. It's my life, honey.
That's right. That's right.
So
I'm bougie. You think I'm bougie. I don't feel that I'm bougie, and I'm living just fine. How about that?
Yes, I always would say that too, with like family members, like, they're saying like, oh, you think you're all that. No, you think I'm all that. That's why.
That's why.
Okay. I think that you think that. And
that's right.
You know, watching your journey over, you know, the last decade, you've been on reality television. What was it like finding your voice in front of a national audience? Because that's what we saw. You know, you're not the same Porsha that you were in season 5. And even now with making the decision of like, you know, I'm leaving the show. And it's like, well, she is all woman.
Yeah.
What was this journey like for you in front on such a national scale?
I would say, however difficult it is to hit a wall and have to make a change in your life off camera, amplify that by being on camera. And now having everybody's opinions and people criticize you along the way. So I think it actually catapulted me into Porsha 2.0, because this journey probably wouldn't even have been as fast. Someone like me who, you know, had dealt with some of the things I dealt with, I probably wouldn't have got to this place until 50 something, 60 years old and make amends and be able to write this type of memoir. But believe it or not, as hard as it was to go through those things, it says something to be able to see your life and take account for the different things that you've been through and how you've made it out. You have to recognize that and see that you went through it to understand, you know what, I'm still here. I'm a survivor. I did that, you know? And so it was not easy at all. But I'm okay with it. I'm okay with people having seen me go to anger management and go through a divorce and all of that. That is the very reason why my book will be effective for people, because they already feel like they know me, but this is going to give them such more of an in-depth look at this journey that they admire. And I appreciate that they admire it. So
Yeah.
I would love to be able to give them this testimony to help them out too.
Now, looking back at your time on television, and now you're going into a new chapter on television, is there anything that you regret or wish you could change?
I definitely don't regret anything. Would I do a little more editing? What you saw on TV? Of course. But no, I don't regret anything that I've been through, because it has definitely made me the woman I am here today. Yes. Honestly. And, like I said before, that's why when a lot of my supporters, now that I've left the show, they're like, oh, such growth, and you're a different person. I see a glow on you. And, they can see your vibration. It's like, now I want to scream from the rooftop. This is why, this is where I came from. This is the real story behind those cameras. So it's just another layer that I wanted to peel back for the people who follow me, and the young girls and young men who follow me as well.
I mean, I wasn't like, there was inklings about a spinoff. Then when it was confirmed, I wasn't surprised that you ended up deciding to leave Atlanta, but why'd you also leave Dish Nation? That one surprised me, because I thought like, oh, she would keep this going because it was a break away from like the drama that comes from reality television. But what led to all the different changes that you announced with your career this year?
Definitely love Dish Nation. Definitely thankful, because, and you're right, that gave my fans a totally different look at Porsha. They gave them a look at Porsha as the TV host, the Porsha who thinks on the drop of a dime and things like that. Whereas on Housewives, she looked a little special, So you just saw a different Porsha on Dish Nation. And so, yeah, I know it kind of was like, wait, what is going on with her at the same time? It just happened that way. Dish Nation contract was up around that time. It was time to make that decision. Housewives was a culmination of a lot of things. Me turning 40, having been on TV for 10 years, lived my life with these cameras for 10 years, me wanting to experience a different level of a different part of life outside of the cameras. And Dish Nation probably was just a casualty of it all, honestly, because I truly love Dish Nation. But it's right now, my focus, honestly, is family. It is my daughter. And I always said that I wanted to semi-retire at 40. And I said that I worked hard at that even more when I had my daughter. I really want to be able to be there for her. I really want to do jobs that are purpose-filled for me. And so for me, I just knew it was time for me to grow in other areas. Is why Dish Nation kind of happened, and Housewives happened because it was just time for me to live some life off the cameras.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so, you made another big announcement this year, and Simon, your fiance, he's a businessman in his own right. How did he feel about you taking a step back from the camera? Was he supportive? Did he feel like, you should keep it going for a little longer?
Mm-hmm. He actually was down either way. I think, if anybody has followed Simon on social media, he's a thinker. And he's very smart in how he approaches anything. He's very intentional. So I think with that intention to support me when he first met me, regardless, he knew that he didn't want to be too opinionated either way. So he honestly didn't have much to say about it. He didn't ask me, are you doing this season? Are you not? It wasn't a conversation, because me deciding to leave Housewives was done right after reunion. They knew that right after reunion. It just didn't become public until later on. And of course, people kind of, oh, it's because of this or whatever. But he left his opinions until after I had made the decision. And then of course, there probably was a little sigh of relief. Yeah. But I don't think he really realized what he was going to be getting into doing this family special either. So baby, he's still
right. Because it doesn't look like it don't look like any less drama on Porsha's family.
He didn't escape anything. And what's crazy is people say, oh, you know, you left Housewives because you don't want to deal with this with Simon. Well, listen, deal with the Housewives. Well, you definitely don't want to deal with it with your family on camera. And honey, that is exactly what we did. We worked on blending our family on camera, and they got the real of me trying to juggle and figure all of that out with my family.
Wow. Yeah, because the most cutthroat opinion anyone will ever receive is from a sibling, a parent, a auntie, a uncle, because it's your family. You still have to love them regardless. Yeah. And so they know they can say whatever they're going to say.
They do. But honestly, you know, we shot one scene with my family and they all love me. You know, I've been on TV, so they know this is what I do. And they're not wanting to step on my toes. We're really like quiet and not saying whatever. And I called them individually and I said, listen, if we're going to do the show, we got to do this the way I've always done TV. Just be real. Just however you feel, whatever you need to express, just be open. That's it. Don't put on for the cameras, just be open. And I don't know why I did that. Because after that, it was lights, camera, action, and they were phenomenal. I mean, they really showed their heart. They really were emotional. We are invested in each other's lives, and we love hard, you know, and I think all of that shows in Porsha's Family Matters. So I think people are going to see a totally different type of family show that they have never seen before when they watch Porsha's Family Matters.
I'm here for it. Specifically as a Black woman and the platform that you're on, I love that I know it's going to be unfiltered. I know it's going to be raw, but at the same time, I know it's still going to be, I mean, I saw the trailer, but I still know it's going to be tasteful to a degree. Especially, with, you know, the way they're going to edit it, it's going to be tasteful.
It's going to be tasty with a lot of spice, honey.
But do you think that your family, everybody, your fiance, do you think they're ready for the feedback, the responses, the criticism that comes along with being on reality television?
No, I don't. And that's a part of the reason why when we started the show early on, I made sure that, you know, when it came to their negotiations, when it came to them dealing with production, they had their own relationship with them. Because, you know, when you decide to live your life on camera, you have to deal with certain consequences, and that's people having opinions. Sometimes their opinions work for you. Sometimes their opinion, they don't agree with you and it works against you. So I definitely did kind of prep them in a way that, like, look, what you're signing up for is to be open with your life, and everybody not going to agree. But do I feel like they're really ready for what is going to come online? No, not really. But my family is very strong. We've always been a known family, especially my father's side of the family. A lot of people in the community know us. They've, you know, so they'll be just fine. But are they ready for the Bravo fans? I don't know. But I know that the Bravo fans will love every part of it. I really do think so, because they're going to see themselves in different family members.
I'm here for it. I'm so excited. Yeah. And are we going to get like questions answered when it comes to how you and Simon really fell in love and developed like to being engaged so soon after the last season wrapped? Like, are you, I know you're going to answer all the questions, but I want to confirm that you are.
Well, it would not be a real show to me, a reality show, which shows my real life, if I didn't address everything. And I love the way that is being addressed, because it's questions coming from your family. Right. And those are questions that need answers, and they want answers. And so, yeah, they're going to get them.
And just tying it back into the book where you were saying, you know, about your entrepreneurship, and with Simon already being a successful entrepreneur, do you two have plans of doing any joint ventures as a couple in the future?
I do have one. I do. I have this grand idea for this great business. It's just that right now I'm really focused on this book tour, because it's not just like a book. You got to go do interviews. Like, this is a part of my purpose. It's a part of a ministry to me to be able to talk about my testimony to young women and other families, et cetera, and create these conversations. So I really do hope to be on tour for a while with this book and talking to my supporters and meeting them. And then after that, hopefully I can get what I have in mind started.
Ooh, I'm just so excited for what's to come.
Thank you.
I'm really excited for Porsha's Family Matters. I already in my mind know that this is going to last up seasons, baby.
Oh, I'm about to watch the first episode today. So
I'm excited. But I know people have been asking. My last question is just, will you consider a return possibly to RHOA or even the new spinoff, the Ultimate Girls Trip? And I saw they sent a lot of them sent some shade saying that they didn't think you was an all-star.
Yeah, well, you send shade when you in the dark, and they was in the dark about casting, honey, because I was the original. But that's all right. That's all right. Continue to underestimate the queen. But you know what? RHOA is like a family to me. I have been in a relationship with these people since I was 30 years old. Yeah. So no, I'll never say never to that and to that part of my life. I just don't know when or what year that would be revisited. And to the spinoff show, it's just about time. I love my family. I'll probably be on vacation with them. I don't know.
I'm here for it. I'm so excited. I love a good spinoff. And like I told you, I'm a huge fan of yours. So I'm here for your elevation and your continued rise to the top. Keep it going.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And this was such a great interview. I appreciate you taking the time to look into my book and interview me. It was super nice.
Keep it going. Keep shining. I'm engaged too. I'm going to be getting married next September.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm so excited. So I'm excited to even see your future wedding spinoff. Your wedding special.
Lord, look at you. Speak it.
Yes. Claim it.